One of the big problems with sibling conflict is that children are continually saying that's not fair because they're competing and comparing with one another. Let's address that today. You see, when parents try to treat children the same, then it increases competition and comparison among children. Some parents think that's what fair is, but children need to learn that fair doesn't mean equal. That's going to be the key here. Every child needs to be treated uniquely and special. After all, that's how God treats us. He gives each person a spiritual gift that's different than someone else. There's several parables that address this idea of fairness. One gets 5 talents, one gets 2 talents, one gets 1 talent. There's no discussion there about whether it's fair or not. This idea about fairness is a misunderstanding of how we relate together. It would be best if parents would treat children uniquely and special and differently than each other, because what that does is it removes the competition and comparison. After all, your children are unique. They are all different. And you've given each one of them a name, so I would suggest when you call kids to dinner, you don't say, "Kids, come to dinner." You call them each by name. "Billy, would you please come and set part of the table here? Mary, would you go wash your hands? It's time to eat." And so we're treating them individually so that there's a sense of specialness. And when a child says that's not fair, we say, "We don't treat you equally." And so we're trying to break down this idea of fairness and equality. It's just a misunderstanding and contributes to anger and frustration in children when we emphasize that as parents. So as parents, we can fragment that by treating children uniquely and trying to work with them. One mom came into the room with some cookies and says to the first child, "Here's a cookie for you, and here's 2 cookies for you," and started to walk out of the room. And the one with 1 cookie said, "Wait a minute. Well, that's not fair." He said, don't talk to me about fairness. If you want a cookie, more cookies here. You have 2 more. And so the idea is, let's treat children uniquely according to their needs. In the end of the Gospel of John, there's this beautiful story of Peter, who tried to compare himself with John. In the story, Jesus is saying to Peter, "This is how you're going to die." And Peter says, "What about him?" pointing to John. And Jesus says, "What is it to you if I allow him to remain until I come again?" This one idea is so strategic. There are many ideas for sibling conflict you're going to find in these videos, but that's one key ingredient that will help you as you're working with your kids. Fair does not mean equal. For more biblical parenting tips, follow me here.